We all know she's our favorite. Nancy Callis in the house. Pat Robinson, of course, the day when and then 2 members of the Parks and Recreation Environmental Protection Board are here today that I also want to acknowledge. Carl Schofstall. And Miss Cheryl, also from the Park Board. Thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate you. We're just going to jump right into the police report because we have some really amazing presentations today on stormwater and traffic calming that I think you guys are going to be excited about. Matt, take it away.
All right, thank you everyone. Happy to be back. Team no sleep right now, but I'm happy to be here. So, thank you, appreciate it. So starting off, let's start off with the crime stats for the month of February. So we had 0 murders, 12 aggravated assaults, 1 robbery, 1 sex crime, 5 burglaries, 5 larceny from vehicles, and 4 motor vehicle thefts. And now we're going to do our comparison year to date from 25 to 26. So in 25 at this time, we had 1 murder. This right now is 0, so awesome. So with ag assaults, we had 24 and 26, and then 22 and 25, excuse me. Robbery, we had 5 and 24, and 4 and so far 26. Sex crimes, 4 and 4 right now. Burglary, we were at, 17 and 25, and now we're at 12 right now. Larceny from vehicle, 25 and 25, and then 14 so far this year. And then right now for motor vehicle thefts, 16 and 16. So then we go over the traffic stats for the month of February. So overall we had 520 citations, 489 warnings. Speeding stats, we had 141 citations and 70 warnings for speeding, excuse me. Vehicle crashes, we had 232 crashes, 4 of them involved pedestrians, 8 of them involved bicycles, and 0 fatalities. So all right, so now I always like to give people that are new here, I like to give a crime prevention tip. So it's spring break's coming, the warm weather's coming, so let's talk about warm weather's protection. So make sure we are staying hydrated, drinking plenty of fluids. No alcohol though, okay? No alcohol. Wear light, loose fitting, light colored reflective to reflect the sun. Sunscreen, 30 plus for SPF. Spend time in the air conditioning when it gets hot. Try to limit your outdoor activities, especially in the middle of the day. So exercise, work, keep an eye on your neighbors, elderly relatives, never leave children or pets inside vehicles. And then always have, always look for signs for heat exhaustion and stroke. And then some upcoming events. The Newtown Annual Spring Fling, I think that's coming up April 4th. Our Spring Fest at SPD, I'm hoping to see everybody there from all the associations. It's a great community event that we put on every year. And then we're doing a Protect and Serve Adoption Day with the Humane Society. We'll partner with them at their location. So I just had Payne Park on there, but they changed it on May 16th. So, and then if you need to contact us, please follow us for all updated stuff that's going on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. Of course, if you need us for emergency, 911, non-emergency, 941-316-1199. And that's it. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt? Ron, you got a microphone?
Not a question, I just want to...
Hey, I have a question real quick while you run down there. On the motor vehicle thefts, the 4 motor vehicle thefts, I think it said, are those all e-bikes?
I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Yep, yes, ma'am.
Because I know you count e-bikes.
No, yep, I will get it to you. Yep. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yep.
I just wanted everyone to know, if you click on the slide thing, the QR code, there we go. The crime statistics slide that you provided, I just want everybody to know that it's there, because I didn't bring it up.
Right.
It has 68 slides on there, and it's a map of an individual map of every neighborhood in the city and the crime statistics for your neighborhood. So if you are curious about what the crime statistics are in your neighborhood this year versus last year, check it out. It's very interesting. Most neighborhoods, there's virtually no crime. There's like one. I mean,
Yeah.
so, yay. I just want everybody to know it's there, because if you didn't show it up there, and it's a very, it's something you can present to your neighborhood and let them know that, we
Yeah, it's a
live in a
great
very
report.
safe neighborhoods.
So yeah, I will bring that up for future. I like that. Thank you. I think it's a great thing to add on there.
Yeah, it's always
because-
on the website.
Yeah, no,
You
we-
send it, we put it on the
Yeah,
website.
perfect. So we send the stats, but we'll add that on there so people know that it's on there as well. That's an easy fix on that PowerPoint. So, and then also guys, on there, also, my email's on there. So if you don't think of a question right now, Kelly, Ron, a lot of people here can attest that I'm really good at getting back to you. So if there's something that pops in your head, hey, I should ask the Officer Matt something, please just email me, and I promise you I'll get back to you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Is pedestrians hit by vehicles anywhere in your stats?
Pedestrian
Was-
tips.
Hit by vehicles?
was
So
one
it
of
was,
the steps.
there was
Yep.
4 that were involved.
Okay,
Yes.
missed it.
Yep.
We asked for that to be added, how many accidents including bicycles.
And then so some of the new people, the last thing, I know you have a lot going on, just this is quick, this thing. We're gonna revamp some things coming up for September. We're gonna be adding some things. Me and Pat are gonna be sitting down and going over and making it even better. I think that will make it more informational. So that if there's any questions, but are you have any input, please, we'll take it. But I just want you guys to know there's gonna be kind of an upgrade coming soon.
Great, my only thing would be make the font bigger so the people down there.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can do that, Kelly. Yeah, I apologize.
Even the people here,
I will make it bigger. That's an easy fix. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna zip through a couple things. Melinda, in case you didn't notice, we have people on vacation. Melinda is somewhere doing something fun. And the treasurer's report, we don't have one, but I want to say this, in the time that I have been on the CCNA board, this is the first time that we have gotten everybody's money before we had to tell you you couldn't vote or sit at the table, which is awesome. Thank you to all of you very, very much. Area rep reports, good news, we have, by the bylaws, if a position is open on the board can name a new person into that role, except for president. That the board cannot do. Y'all would have to vote again if I decided to move to Thailand or something. So we named Will Luera as the new Area A rep. He, of course, was committed to be somewhere else out of town today, so you will see him at our next meeting, so we're excited to have him. He actually lives in Gillespie Park, and he serves on the Downtown Master Plan Advisory Board, and his wife serves on the City Art Plan Advisory Board, so we're excited to have him, and I hope you look forward to working with him. We've been working on something in Area A that I'm gonna leave Pat to talk about later, super exciting. Area B, I'll do that for Beth. Beth and I attended the St. Armand's Visioning Workshop with City on February 26th out at Moat in that area. It was truly amazing, the number of people that showed up from that area. And city staff was there in full force facilitating all 20 tables. I'm sure the St. Armand person is going to speak to that, so I'm going to leave the rest to him. Leslie, where are you? Leslie, do you have an Area C report? Okay, thank you. So we're going to jump into committee reports real quick. I'm going to do transportation, traffic safety is your presentation for the Part 2 group today. Part 1 group, Norm Dumaine is the chair of, and he's going to speak to that.
Okay. We had a committee of 5. Carl Schofstall, Joanne Boudet, let's see, we had Steve Martinucci and Mary Butler who were members of the committee. Where we're at this point in time, we're moving to the training of volunteers at this point. Officer Bruno is determining the time and place for this to take place, probably at the police station on Adams. Right at this point, what we need from those who are participating, we need from them contact information, the neighborhood representatives, and the 2 volunteers from your neighborhood. So I'm going to pass around this sheet here, and if you would provide that information, I would appreciate it. If you do not have that information at this present time, please indicate who the contact person is, and in the next 2-3 days, would you please send me who the volunteers are from your neighborhood? Very much appreciate that. The other thing is, the Officer Bureau is going to provide specifics during the training, specifics in terms of what to do, how to do it, and how to use the speed guns. In terms of this, we're investigating the use of some safety, reflective safety jackets for those who are doing the monitoring. And otherwise, I think we're up to date. If there are any questions, I'll certainly entertain any questions you might have.
I will.
Yes?
Any idea like how long the training will be? I was asked this by some people that were curious and they were just kind of, any idea at all?
When I talked to Officer Bruno, he indicates he believes that he can do the training within an hour.
Understood. Thank you.
Now, whether that, if that goes beyond that,
Sure.
we may actually have 2 sessions. But let's see if we can do it in.
They were wondering if it was going to be like a day or, that kind of thing. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Will the statistics compiled be?
Can you tell your name and your neighborhood before you ask your question, please? Thank you.
Kevin Smith, from South Our Shores. Will the statistics that are gathered be used to actually advance a claim, or are they going to be just to identify a neighborhood that does need to be looked into, and then the city's going to have to do it again?
Okay. At this point, we're going to gather all the statistics. We're going to share that with the SPD and with CCNA. At that point, after we present that to the city and to the SPD, SPD is going to take whatever action they feel is appropriate for those neighborhoods that appear to have a significant problem with speed. At this point, I don't know exactly what that's going to be because it is dependent on the situation and dependent on the SPD's response to that.
We don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
Dennis Bischoff, Little Shores. I signed up.
He's getting, it's only for the video, so.
I signed up for the program, but I'm wondering, because where Lido Shores is, we have John Ringling Parkway that runs. Is that for that area? Because that's where we have a problem, not within the neighborhood itself.
In terms of what we're doing as far as this particular group, we're focusing on the local streets.
Okay, yeah.
Now, there are other areas. We're going to have a presentation today
Okay.
that is going to provide more information about arterial streets and how that's going to be handled.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi, David Rayner, Lido Key. With respect to the volunteers, how many days and hours of data are they expecting to collect?
Yes, the anticipation is that it would be 7 days, that the particular neighborhood decides when and where the location is. In my neighborhoods, for example, if we had a police officer stationed in my neighborhood, okay, at 12 noon, there'd be very little traffic. At 8 o'clock in the morning, that's different. Okay? At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when the SPD really needs to attend their particular issues. So that's why we're trying to help the SPD and to work with them to find the best kind of information we can. So the individual neighborhoods decide when they do the monitoring and way to do the monitoring. In terms of this, a 7-day period of time really is best to get a feel for how things are going through the neighborhood over a period of time. 7 days, and then you decide where and when.
7 consecutive days.
Yes.
Seven consecutive.
And there are enough radar detectors to institute the program for
Well, if every
everyone?
neighborhood would have signed up, the answer would be no, but they didn't, so, yes.
And,
So it would all be done the same week? Is it?
no,
No.
no. It's not gonna
Each
be possible.
neighborhood
We
is
don't-
unique and different.
Okay.
So you as a neighborhood leader are gonna decide what's important and what streets are important for your neighborhood. We can't decide that for you.
Okay, another thing, the last time we met, we had 20 neighborhoods that signed up to participate in this program. We had 5 neighborhoods who were not present, and then we had 5 neighborhoods who were present, but did not give information in terms of yes or no as to whether they wanted to participate. So, provide this information, and we'll get ahead, we'll contact you and move ahead in terms of when the training will take place.
One very simple question, Norm, you said 1 hour, excuse me, you said 7 consecutive days, is that 1 hour per 7 consecutive days?
No. The training, okay, is for 1 hour. You decide which 7 days that you're going to monitor.
Is it for the whole day then?
And you decide what time period in the day you want to monitor. But it needs to be the same time period for all 7 days.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Norm. I apologize. I missed introducing someone that's very important to us. Andrew, our environmental engineer with the city, is here to present today. Thank you, Andrew. Ron, you want to go next with U.S. Recycling?
Yeah, the air quality. So a lot has happened since the last meeting. At the last meeting, I told you that the workforce developer, McDowell, had received $3.2 million in a grant by the county. Well, McDowell and U.S. Recycling had agreed upon a price of $5.2 million for the land, and it looked like, after the county gave them money, that they were hours away from actually signing a binding contract and moving forward. But unfortunately, U.S. Recycling started making more demands, and nothing to do with the price. They weren't arguing over the price, but rather they started pressuring McDowell to pressure Suncoast Waterkeeper to drop their lawsuit. Then, McDowell received a call from someone claiming to be the owner's stepdad, a gentleman named Thomas Risman. Now, some of you may have recalled that name from a Herald Tribune article. Thomas Risman is or was the owner of a hazardous facility in Northport, and Northport had to sue him to close them down. So now with Risman in the picture, the conversation started getting more and more chaotic. With U.S. Recycling, at one point, Risman said he would drop the price from $5.2 million to $2.3 million if U.S. Recycling would come up with the money within a week, and other just crazy chaotic requirements. U.S. Recycling then heard from what they thought was the attorney for U.S. Recycling, which was Ickard Merrill. And Ickard Merrill told them that Ickard Merrill resigned from the engagement. So Ickard Merrill was no longer representing U.S. Recycling. So it was at that time, after hearing from Ickard Merrill, that McDowell said, this is just fruitless. We're not going to get anywhere. And they decided to back out of negotiation. And on Tuesday, they told the county, in essence, that's what they're going to do. That the McDowell deal is just done for now. So that gets us to, where does that leave us now? because there are some good news. One thing that is good about Florida, you may hate SB 180, but Florida has wonderful public nuisance laws. And in particularly, they have court case law supporting that a municipality or the public could sue a facility even if it operates within the Clean Air Act, just as long in total they're considered a public health nuisance. And clearly that applies to US Recycling. You know, the county has tried to regulate it, the city has tried to regulate it, the state has tried to regulate it. And it keeps on falling through all the loopholes. So, you know, a public class action lawsuit or a lawsuit from the city. And the city, fortunately, took the initiative. Thanks to Commissioner Erin Koch, she brought back to the commission on Monday that the city should start taking steps to look into a public health lawsuit. And kudos to all the commissioners, because they all back that agenda.
All right.
So unanimous. And, you know, we've heard just some comments from the county that they're cheering on the city right now. So the county may also at some point, once we know more of the particulars, also joining in on that lawsuit. So what CCNA is doing now is we're working closely with the city's attorney's office to document, use all the documentation we've gotten over the past year to help them build the case for their lawsuit. Any questions?
Questions for Ron, anyone? Okay, I got a question over here.
Hi there, I'm Laurel Borberg from Central Coconut Neighborhood Association, and we would just like to chime in. Thank you to Jim, thank you for the commission for voting in favor of pursuing this lawsuit. And I wanted to just ask, and I don't know how this kind of should be authorized, but I would love to see our association authorize our board or authorize our committee to investigate what it would take to simultaneously authorize a class action suit from the residents. I think the only thing that motivates US Recycle is a lawsuit. And honestly, if we could get the city's suit and us as residents with a class action suit, this thing has been going on for over a decade. So I just feel like, wouldn't that be, I don't know if that's even possible, but I just want to ask.
Yeah, we could start looking into that. That's definitely, you know, if that's something CCNA wants to do, we absolutely can look into what it would take for the public to actually move forward or organize some type of class action. Because that is one of the avenues that we were told, you know, is something we should pursue.
So members, how do you feel about that? Show of hands, investigate?
Yeah.
Yes? All right, we got our marching orders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next committee report is meaningful neighborhood input. Ron, don't sit down, you're still talking.
All right.
Ron's gonna update you on one part of what's been happening, and I'll give the second part. Go ahead.
Jim is on vacation, so I'm filling in. This would have normally been Jim Baldwin's report. Lucia, who's in charge of the development services, for about a year, she's been working on an initiative to see what changes could be made to the DRC, the Development Review Committee, that whole process of reviewing applications. And as part of that initiative, she took two tacks. One, she reached out to the residents and to start asking them questions, and simultaneously reached out to the development community and also asked them questions. So for the residents, it was CCNA, DISCO was represented there, and for the developers, it was a slice of the development community. And we just had our first meeting with both groups together. And personally, not surprisingly, but I think it took the pleasant surprise of the development services, is there's commonality there. Both the developers and the residents were upset about similar parts of the process. We were just looking at it with different perspectives. And there seemed to be real life pragmatic changes that could possibly be made to the DRC. So what's going to happen is this group will probably meet one more time to solidify some requests. It's going to go back to the commission because the commission has to give staff guidance on what to do forward. It's policy. But this is the first time it seemed really hopeful that pragmatic action might, pragmatic changes might actually occur.
Thank you, Ron. He's very low-key about this. This is freaking exciting. This is the first time, I think, in the history of any city in America that the development community and the residents sat down in the same room to talk about how to solve problems together. That doesn't happen. I'm excited about it. Next thing, vacation rentals. You know, we've been working really, really hard to get the vacation rental ordinance to be citywide for quite a little bit of time, and I'll take my CCNA hat off for a minute. My personal neighborhood was very, very affected by not being included. I think I was only invited to parties so people could yell at me about vacation rentals as a president of the Neighborhood Association. Thank you to the commissioners that are here. Thank you to city staff. They finally approved on Monday's commission meeting vacation rental to include the downtown neighborhoods. So parties to us. Woohoo! All right, I think we covered every committee, did we not? I don't think we missed anything. It is time for the big show that you've all been waiting for. Stormwater is going to give you an update, and if Beth's not here, so I'm going to say this. Perhaps this committee could be finished after today. Just want to say. Just want to say. Thank you. Gentlemen, Nick, Sajay, Andrew, come on up.
Hey, good morning. Happy to be here. So before we get into the presentation, wanted to say there's 3 critical presentations we're going to be doing today. The first is going to be stormwater. We've been working about a year with stormwater committee for CCNA to kind of work through some items, which will provide an update today. The second item is the natural disaster debris reserve, which is going to impact everybody. So that's a brief presentation as well. And then the third one is the traffic calming and the safety portion of it. So I want to thank the Public Works team essentially for working through some of these projects, and we'll be providing updates. So I'll turn it over to Saji and Andrew. And just one thing I want to say about Andrew is that he did pass his engineering exam recently. He's also going to be the main point of contact for anything related to stormwater within the city, and he's good facilitating with the Sarasota County on that. So just please get his contact and all the information so you guys can reach out to him. And with that, I'll turn it over to Saji.
Thanks, Nick. I don't want to take a lot of Andrew's time, but just kind of wanted to introduce myself, reintroduce myself. I'm a new city engineer. I've been with the city almost 5 months now, so I'm going to try to play the new guy card as often as I can. I've met a lot of you, so I guess my kind of take real quick is a lot of communities don't have what you all have here. And on one perspective from staff, it's like you give us a lot of work. But on the other perspective is we get to do things like this and communicate and share, and that's something that's super unique, and I appreciate it because it's things that if we have things we need to share, you guys give us key contacts, and so we can share them with the community, and if there's things that you all hear from the community, you can share with us. So I just want to say I appreciate that. Last thought, I was told that I overdressed a little bit, so I rolled up my sleeves. So big picture, real quick, don't want to steal any of Andrew's thunder, but as a lot of you know, stormwater in the city is managed by the county, Sarasota County. Sarasota County owns almost all of the, I'll say, infrastructure that takes on stormwater. So the real property, a lot of the easements are all Sarasota County's, but we know that it affects all of us. And so that's why we've asked designated Andrew to help coordinate with that. So a lot of that is just kind of background for his conversation, feel free, yes, to contact me or Andrew on any things that come up or that kind of thing. But we will be coordinating with the county on that. So I just wanted to let you all know that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Thank you, Saji. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Kelly and CCNA for having me here. I'm Andrew Newhouse, environmental engineer with Public Works. For those of you that don't know me, I was born in the city a few miles away from here. I attended Pineview School back when it was in the city on Bay Vista Street. My father owned the Melody Restaurant for 30 years in the city. That was my first job growing up. Last night I attended the historic Sarasota Opera House to see La Boheme, and my sister performs in the orchestra there. So it was not sold out on Friday night. Puccini, La Boheme, so you guys got to come out. You know, it's a historic event there. So anyway, I'm just grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for having me. I always enjoy working with you guys. I echo what Saji said, that you know, there is no city stormwater department. I'm it, but you guys are all my eyes and ears helping me coordinate all the issues that you're seeing, so I really do appreciate it. These are the topics we're going to cover: an overview, resilient SRQ projects, just general capital improvement projects, the rain check program, the 311 system, how to request maintenance from the county, and then I'm going to pass it back to Saji for a lot drainage review update, where we've been working with Lucia and the development services. And then Todd is going to handle the solid waste update. So the best place to get all the information about stormwater is the county stormwater website. There's some QR codes that are passed around, and the one on the left will link you to this, but it's also very easy to find the URL. It's just scgov.net/stormwater. It will redirect you it'll add the government in there, but you don't even need to type that. It'll send you there. So that's your best place. This has everything really you need to know. And that's coming straight from the county. So these are the QR codes, but again, we pass some around. So the Resilient SRQ program is disaster relief. It's organized through the county, and there is a project currently ongoing from 2022 storm, but the three main projects that we're going to talk about are from the 2024 storm. This is the second QR code on the right. Again, this website is your best source of information. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it actually has a place where you can enter your email address and they'll send you updates directly. So, but it will have your timeline, and as they update it, that will be the most current place to find information. So the three projects that are currently underway, Whitaker Bayou Dredging Project. This is going to be managed by U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Sarasota County through the Resilient SRQ program. All three of these projects, we're at the very beginning phases, so I can't really give you too much detail, but they will all be completed by 2031. So that's your overall timeline. And I just wanted to thank Nick. These are county-run projects, but this man was the visionary that got these programs started, and he really pushed it through the city commission and onto the county commission, and now he's passed the torch to Sajay, and it's being managed by the county, but really thank you to Nick for being the visionary. And thank you to Nick and Saji for being my mentor as well. And I'm just trying to keep up with them, but you're in good hands with them. So these are the main contacts that we provided to the county when they're going to start scoping these three projects: the Whitaker Bayou Dredging, Hudson Bayou Dredging, and the St. Armand's Infrastructure. I believe all these people are in the room. Laurel Korberg, I need to update that. I guess it's the Central Coconut Residents Association. And then James Haft with the Hudson Bayou Restoration Coalition. Robert Kelly is a board member of the St. Armand's Resident Association and the Business Association. So he's a good contact to be the voice for all those people on St. Armand's. I also really should have added Beth Northstream as the CCNA Stormwater Representative. And then there's the Stormwater Environmental Advisory Committee, which it's a committee run by the county, but there's 2 specific city representatives on there, Eileen Normeal and Arthur Lindemanis. And then Steve Swa is also on that committee as a general member. So this is gonna, now we're switching from the Resilient SRQ project specifically to just general capital improvement projects. Again, the best source of information is, this is the same Sarasota County website, stormwater website. I did want to point out, if you do follow those QR codes, depending on your device, this menu on the left may appear on the top as a drop down, and it'll say jump to subpage, so it might look a little bit different, but it's going to have all the same information, and everything you need to know is all in these links. And what I wanted to point out here, this is under the watersheds link, and then right here beneath that link is Sarasota Bay Watershed Management Plan. This is a comprehensive plan that was done by Taylor Engineering, funded through the county. I believe it finished in 2023. This is specific to the city of Sarasota and Sarasota Bay. So all the capital improvement projects that they've identified as priorities are in that plan. So if you go through that link, the plan is available online. I also wanted to point out, Robert Laura is the head of engineering with Sarasota County, and his email address is along with that watershed plan. So if you have any questions, that's who they're wanting you to direct it to, is Robert Laura, the director of stormwater engineering. Here, let me go back. The other thing on this page that is really nice is there's this Stormwater Future Projects dashboard. This will take you to an external site, but it has most of these projects came from that Sarasota Bay Watershed Management Plan that Robert Laura is the contact over. But I thought I had it. The dashboard allows you to select by completed projects and then by conceptual projects, and then you can filter it down to specifically to the city of Sarasota. A lot of when you look, we're missing some of the details here, but a lot of these projects, it says come from citizens' requests. So these are the types of things, if you reach out to them, it'll make it onto this list and they will consider it. Now they still rank it based on priority and cost benefit and things like that, but you know, I did notice not all these projects come from the watershed plan. A lot of them are from citizens' concerns and 311. So they are listening, and it will make it onto this list. And this is specifically the rain check program. The county just began, I think last year or 2 years ago. They will directly reimburse you for making improvements to your property that reduce impervious surface and reduce runoff into the overall stormwater system. So this is something you can directly do that will benefit everyone, and you will be reimbursed for it. I know Steve Swa has mentioned that he used the program, so he might be a good person to ask how it works, some of the details. But again, the best place to look is right on the website. Click on rain check, gives you all the information. There's Jennifer Rudolph is the person who runs it. I believe her email's in there, so they can explain everything. And I know she said it's been very successful so far. All the money they allotted to it was spent last fiscal year because people were really interested in it and utilizing it. So. And then that takes me to the 311 system, which this, again, if you're on the stormwater website, if you scroll all the way down, you can get to 311. But it's also available just on the general county website, obviously. You can call 311, there's an app you can download, or you can use the website. If you register here with your email, then when you make a ticket, they will send you the ticket number, and then you can track the progress of the ticket. And there's a maintenance map on the website which will reflect all these tickets, so you can. It's a way that you can track and find out. Okay, they said they're going to do it. When is it planned to be done? And I just want to point out that the city click to fix, if it's stormwater related, it's going to redirect to the county for all stormwater issues. But it's fine to use either one. And that brings me to the end of my section. Saji's going to take it from here for the lot drainage. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we're not going anywhere. In case you guys have questions, we'll take a minute after this. But wanted to kind of wrap up the stormwater part with just, so Andrew walked you through from large projects all the way down to like individual lots and what you can do on your own property. Part of that is we heard feedback from you all. I'm not quite sure how it came, maybe through the committee, but also from other members of the community. Like, so what can we do and what happens if my neighbor has new construction or things that may impact me? And there are pieces in the code, state and local, that require them to do certain things. Mostly the baseline is not to make stormwater worse, right? But we found that sometimes those details and options they have aren't super clear. And so based off of that feedback from the community, we started looking at our code a little bit, started looking at some other things, and specifically found in a lot of communities they have a lot drainage detail, a lot drainage plan. And so I know you can't see it super small on here, but we've developed a template that will go into the city's code, as well as into the, I'm sure you're familiar with the EDCM, the Engineering Design Criteria Manual that the city has. We will put this detail in there. The requirements for a plan are already in code, and so this is just an example that folks can use. At our DCM's directive, we have been asked to see how fast we can get it in there and how fast we can make sure that we take care of this and make this happen. And so we're going through those things now, and so want to make sure that we're checking all our boxes and crosses our T's. You know, as you know, SB 180 has some specific things about not expanding criteria. From talking to our legal, we're okay with that because we already have those things written in code. But we're providing this detail that gives folks options per code. They can generate an engineering plan and sign and seal that they're going to meet certain criteria that are required. If they follow some of the things in here, you know, they won't have to go through that detail. So this stuff talks about, you know, making sure you show on your site plan where drainage goes, that it doesn't go onto your neighbor. There are options for what we've called infiltration trenches in the past, essentially, you know, material that allows water to drain quicker in a location. So there's some options for those. As Andrew had mentioned, the rain check program is an awesome thing for folks who aren't doing significant changes like, you know, rebuilding a house. If they have some local drainage issues on their yard, and implementing some of these things can help you get this paid for. But in addition to that, this will be new development, neighborhoods, you know, your neighbors adding or changing their drainage to go through permit. This is a typical detail that they can follow going forward. So we just want to share that with you. It's not in place and documented yet, but it should be happening really soon. We're close to the point where we're going to be able to enact that. So with that, I'll open the floor to any questions regarding stormwater for either Andrew or Nick or anyone.
Questions?
Thank you, guys. I don't think we, okay.
Yep.
Sachi, I just wanted to thank you for this detail sheets. The question I had is, when we worked together on Holmes Beach, you also had the provisions that people could put impervious paver driveways, which I think on the Barrett Islands has become almost a standard. Is that an option that builders can do in the city?
So I want to say yes, there is a little piece in the code we got to make sure that we're checking the box for. So at the moment, that's what we want to do. I don't have an exact answer for you right now, because there is a piece of I'll let Nick.
So the new DCM does have that requirement in there. So we did detail on. So in the new EDCM that's going to be implemented hopefully later this year, it does have the whole code where they can use impervious pavers as part of that.
By the way, that was Steve Squall from Gillespie.
Oh, sorry.
Questions on this side, anyone?
Rob Grant, Arlington Park. Thank you very much for you guys working on this lot drainage issue, because this is, for the neighborhoods, this is a really big deal, because we've got an enormous amount of redevelopment going on with homes. So the question that I have is this, because we get this a lot at neighborhood meetings and when people have issues, and so what should I tell someone if they say that there's a house going up next door to me or a couple doors down, and I want to know what their lot drainage plan is and find out from the city what's going on and how this is going to affect me? So what should I tell them, and who should they reach out to, and what's the process for getting a hold of this if it's an issue near where you live?
So big picture, feel free to call me or Andrew, right? But as we get through the details, we are adding a position in development services paid for by building fees that will be their, probably their main responsibility to review these and make sure that they get into the system. And so when we get that individual in place, we'll share that with you. But until then, feel free to call me or Andrew.
So ultimately, there would be an individual at the city that we could say, here's their email address and phone number, and reach out to them, and they'll help you get through it. Like, once you get through the process, once you get this done.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Beautiful. Thank you.
Can't hear you, Mary.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, Mary Loveland, and we're
Back on it.
Ron, turn it off.
Hello?
Thank you, Ron.
No.
Come on, Ron. Man, come on. All right, really quickly. I'm on the storm water maintenance activity. Could you explain that a little bit better for me, or if you haven't already said something about it?
So I'm sorry, what about the stormwater maintenance, just in general, or?
Well, there's actually on the website, there's a stormwater maintenance activity. So it looks like you can see the work that you guys are doing around it. Is that what I'm understanding?
On the map.
On the map.
Yes, just to repeat it so everybody can hear, there is a section on the website that refers to stormwater maintenance activity, and part of our agreement, the city's agreement with the county, they are responsible for that, and what they have been doing as they get in requests, they update the map, and sometimes it's a little lagged, we've noticed that, but for the most part, they are keeping up with as they do activity, and there is a section where they can talk about when they're scheduling it if it's a longer term thing. You can find that on the map, I guess, short version, on the county's website. Oh yeah. We can forward the slides if you like, but yeah, if you go to that QR code scgov.net government stormwater, on the right hand side of the page there's an item that says stormwater maintenance map, and if you click on that, it pulls up a map, and then you can click on individual locations and it'll pull up details.
As a reminder, you
scan the QR code on your agenda, which you can get to this presentation.
I was just gonna add that that map at the top is organized by planned activities and completed activities. So it's kind of two separate maps in one.
So real quick, Pat Robinson, all the neighborhoods. I want to give credit where credit is due, because I know everybody says Nick and Saji and Lucy had a hand in all this. Really, this came down to the Stormwater Task Force, and specifically Steve Swaw, who came in and gave a great presentation, really pissed me off, and then so I went back to my office like a 12-year-old, and Lucia and Nick came in the office, and I went, damn it, he's right. I can't argue with the guy. He's correct. And so really, I want to give credit to Steve for really calling us on the carpet and saying we have some things that we were not taking advantage of, and give credit again to our team for talking me off the ledge and saying, he's right. These are things we can do, and then making it happen. So I think this is a great example of people bringing it forward and then staff reacting in a way to make things that are going to make this whole thing better. So I appreciate Steve and the task force and our folks for doing that. So I just want to make sure we put that out there. And Steve, thank you very much, sir.
I think the other thing that should be pointed out, these guys are so humble up here, but all this stuff they're showing you that you can now get to on the website, none of that existed when we started. They built all of this. They've done an amazing job, and they don't take any credit for it. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Sasha. Any more questions on stormwater? Oh, we got a hand up.
Marissa Dawson, Central Coconut. This has nothing to do with the city, it actually has to do with the county. I actually own a piece of property in the county. About a year or two ago, I put in a request for 311. There's a drainage ditch that has a, what do you call that tunnel there? That concrete tunnel.
A pipe culvert.
Culvert, that's it. It's got culvert, it's completely blocked. They said they were gonna work on it. It took them over a year to get to it. They said they were swamped, blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, they closed the ticket. It was never cleared out. So this is nothing against the city. And, I'm going to bring in again with 311. But it'll probably be another year till they don't get to it and tell me it was completed.
So I don't want to replace their 311 item, but if you end up with issues like that where you've tried, you're not getting, we do have monthly meetings with the county, and
The county's here, we'll let them respond.
Believe it or not, you're not alone. But if that happens, please email me with the ticket number, and then I will forward that on to Stormwater Director Ben Porter.
I'll send you a picture.
Wonderful. And believe it or not, they have a tendency to react to a county commissioner. So anything about this job, I can't wait for it.
I'm always grateful to you and Esther.
So anyway, but that goes for anybody. If the 311 is wonderful, but there are tens of thousands of calls that come in all the time, and sometimes it falls through the cracks. But by all means, email me with the ticket number, and I bet you within a day we'll get a response and get some folks out there.
Thank you.
I don't know if we have Mark's email on our website, but we'll check. But if in case you don't know, it's mark.smith at.
I'd love to give you the wrong one, but it's mhsmith at scgov.net. So there we go.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Any other questions on stormwater? Oh, right here.
Hi, I've got a quick question.
Your name
Paul
is,
Solden.
what neighborhood are you from? What's your name and neighborhood?
Rosemary District. And are you guys subject, do you also work on new built condominiums and apartment buildings? I'm asking a question because I used to live at the Mark, and we had a problem with flooding in the dock area, and they spent a lot of money trying to redo that. And I
I'm not sure if I remember this right or not, but I think what they did was they just hooked up to the storm sewer again. They, instead of mitigating it with their, I can't remember if they called it a bubbler system or something like that, but it was supposed to allow the water to
Okay, so, Elisa's group does manage that portion of it, so condos and as well as apartment complex. And just to let you know, in the new EDCM, we have kind of eliminated some of the bubbler system. I don't want to say eliminate, but made it more stringent as to not allowing the bubbler system. So back in the day, there was a lot of bubbler systems that were put in place, and the new EDCM addresses some of those things. So specific to your issue, if you can reach out to us and let us know what those concerns are, we can take a look at it. Thank you. And I do want to add one more thing to talk about the county's portion of it, is that since Ben Quartermain has started, I think about 6 to 8 months ago, there has been more responsiveness on the 311 system. So if you do put in a ticket, I mean, I live in the county too as well, and I put in a ticket a year ago and it got closed out. But then since recently, I've put in a couple of tickets and there have been quite a bit of responsiveness. So, and if you don't get that aspect of it, feel free to reach out to Mark Smith, but also Andrew is a good mediator to correspond with the county as well.
I'm gonna add to that. Using the 311 system online is better than your phone because you can attach a photo. So use the technology, because when you attach a photo, it helps them understand what work needs to be done before they even get there. So ideally, if you attach a photo and it's a smashed in drain, they know they've got to repair that. They can send the crew out to do that. But when you call, you use all of that. Use the system.
Last question?
Yeah, my question is kind of like, who do I address? And it may be 311. We have a situation, we rely on the storm drains that run under McClellan Parkway. And a couple of the drain inlets are the wrong design. About 5 minutes after the beginning of any rain event, they're completely clogged with debris. They very successfully protect the storm drain from water infiltration. So where there's a design issue, we really have to come out and kind of redo and put in the proper kind of street drain. Is that also 311? Did we make you aware of it? So that's just 311?
Let 311 know, because they'll be able to take care of it.
Thank you.
You just described my entire neighborhood.
St. Armand's, last question.
Want to have a microphone?
Yep, it's coming.
Hi, Chuck Half, St. Armand's. Since the county is clearing a lot of the stormwater drains for the city, acting as a vendor, if you will, I know in some of these other industries, there are service guarantee metrics that the vendor, being the county in this case, will provide to the city or the person paying for the services. So I'm wondering, are there any service guarantee metrics that the county has agreed to? I know you've been talking to them for a while in terms of, percent stormwater cleared per month or per quarter, or anything, any kind of service guarantee metrics.
I would say that the county is not a vendor to the city, because the county, the residents of the city pay the stormwater tax and it goes straight to the county. So they manage the city exactly the same as they manage the unincorporated county. So you're actually a county resident. So there is no tracking between the city and county. But as far as the county tracking, Ben Quartermain has been, that's part of adding that maintenance map and making it more transparent.
So it sounds like there are not any service metrics per se.
I can add to that a little bit. So the county does have level of service criteria for how much flooding is allowed based off of type of facility. So, local roads can have more water than, major arterials, that kind of thing. And so they apply those same criteria throughout the city. The city has adopted those same things going forward. I think conversations maybe weren't as good as they should have been in the past. And so as Nick had mentioned, with Ben coming on board, we've increased those conversations. And so I think some of the issues you've seen will get better. As far as the issue of how many piles mounds of leaves can be removed, how often or whatever. It's not that detailed. It's more about volume and elevation of flooding and keeping it clean to do that. It looks
But-
like Steve wants to add. to that.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, this elevation of flooding and stuff is subjective and, needs to be monitored and everything like that. I'm just used to hearing, when you have these relationships, these service guarantees or these service metrics, saying stuff like, we're gonna get to 10% of the roads in 2026, or 10% of the drains, something like that. But it sounds like it's not that specific.
Well, NPD.
Yes, the NPDS has metrics in it in terms of how many times a year.
What does NPDS
Oh, a
mean?
national discharge.
National
Pollution. It's a federal permit where the county's inventoried all their infrastructure and has to provide, and does provide, the frequency of maintenance of different assets that they have for stormwater.
And do we measure those figures that are, is there a?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
They
Okay,
report
so I
every
think it would
year.
be a great idea if you two had a sidebar conversation. We have another whole presentation to get through, and you could also go back and see some of the presentations Ben has given at the county that answers a lot of those questions. Correct?
Correct.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Without further ado.
No, behind you.
Oh my God. See, I didn't even know Todd was presenting. I just stuck that in on you.
Todd Kacharski is going to talk about solid waste.
My bad.
No worries, thank you. As most of you know, I love the trash talk. So, wanted to bring this to you just to give a brief presentation. And first, I'd like to thank our interim city manager at the time, Mr. Bullock, for coming up with this idea.
Todd, put the microphone in your mouth.
Sorry, as some of you may know, I'm having vocal cord challenges, so I'm not the godfather. But again, I'd like to thank interim city manager, Mr. Bullock, for bringing this to us to research and bring this forward. And also want to thank the commissioners for approving the resolution with this. But what it really comes down to is making the storm debris collection, and in this case, natural disaster collection reserve, available so that we can quickly respond to when situations come up. And one of the big things items was just making sure that we can be proactive on getting the dollars available when we do the collection. So this is to ensure that we can coordinate with FEMA proactively to get the items taken care of. Yes, the storms in 2024, I know some of you may know that we were very proactive. The governor required for us to get it done in 90 days. We actually got it done in 72 days. So there's a lot of coordination that goes on, and we're still dealing with FEMA and the state as it is right now. So this is one of the best practices in preparation for future storms. This is part of the eye test. I know a lot of you can't read it back there but see it. But this large number right here, 11 million, that is the total collection that we have had in all the storms since 2001. The biggest factor is the 8.6 million that we had in 2024. So you can see this is trying to be proactive moving forward. Now with that, what we proposed was to put together a plan to have a target of 5 million within 7 years. So that means we would have to put some type of fee in place to do that. And what we were proposing to do is put a fee onto the residents as well as the commercial accounts, and it would be an increase of $3.63 on the monthly bill, and it would be indicated on there so that you know specifically it's not for your normal collection of solid waste. And this then would be able to be set so that in 7 years we have 5 million to be proactive when storms occur. last item I just want to share real quickly, and a lot of you may not know about this, but with the city commission, we have proposed to put together kind of a flyer, if you will, that will outreach to the community and share with why we're doing this, so that everybody understands we're trying to be proactive. And if any of you at your neighborhood associations would like to have me speak and talk about that, I'd be happy to talk with your residents, because this is very important so that they understand this is not impacting their normal collection, but it's in preparation for any type of natural disaster. And if you want to think of it in the simplest terms, it's an insurance policy for us to be prepared. So with that, I'll just open it up if there's any questions.
Thank you for doing this. I want to go back to the Helene storm for 2024, just so we don't repeat what happened. But on St. Armand's, our 200 homes, pretty much every home had drywall, furniture, everything sitting out on the curb. And then shortly thereafter, we had Milton. I know there's other communities like up in Tampa that outsourced to college hunks because they knew that they couldn't get it done in time. And while 72 days is great, it didn't really help in that situation, and we had all that crap floating everywhere during Hurricane Milton when that one came in, you know, furniture, I mean, it was just a mess. And so I'm wondering, what's the plan for bringing in extra resources in those situations?
If you don't mind.
Mr. Pat Robinson.
I love talking about solid waste. So Chuck, good idea. We're never going to use college hunks to outsource. We actually brought in 74 subcontractors within 3 days. So we had 74 trucks. Now, to give you an idea what our normal solid waste is, we have, take a guess, Chuck, how many trucks do we actually own?
100.
Ooh, not even close.
I like that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
You're writing the check. We have 4. We have 4. We have 4 solid waste trucks. So when you say, you know, get ready, we multiplied our capacity by about 4,000% in 72 hours to start getting that up. I've lived here my entire life. I've never seen that number of storms hit. There's literally physically no way. And I'll tell you, go Leah in the back, who I like the fact you guys banished him and stuck him. I'm like, I'll take Chuck all day long, baby. Alternate.
Who's going to get the dunce hat over there?
So I can tell you, we take that very seriously, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this, is because we're limited by FEMA and state reimbursement in a lot of the things we do, but having a fund like this allows our personnel to start acting in advance a little bit further. Because what people don't realize is during the initial portion of that storm, the government, so we negotiated, believe it or not, for lower rates for our residents when these storms happen. Well, the government came in and said, hey, we're using the state level. But guess what? That was $7 a metric ton above what we had negotiated.
Correct.
We had people that were leaving our job sites and driving to Tampa to get that extra check. All right, so we had to immediately raise our fund, which sapped our reserve that much quicker. But it's all things that are going on the fly. I'll tell you this, if I could get 175 trucks, I would get 175 trucks, but we were fighting, and generally when these things happen, it's a smaller area. It was the entire coastal line of Florida up through Louisiana. So we were all fighting for those same contractors. We had people from Ohio, Indiana, Minneapolis, Wisconsin. So we take that very seriously, but I just want to make sure that you guys know we do everything. Trust me, I was on the phone with Chris, with Rachel, with everybody, and it's not just one neighborhood, it was every neighborhood. So we were fielding calls, hey, why aren't you getting this picked up? Why aren't you getting this picked up? And I'm calling those guys going, why aren't we getting this picked up? Why aren't we getting this picked up? And then the commissioners are calling me going, why aren't you getting this picked up? Why aren't you getting this picked up? And I'm going, I'm trying. So I can tell you that we learned a lot of things during that storm cycle that we're going to be employing. This is one of them. It frees our hands and lets us start working on this earlier. But it was not for lack of getting people out on that road. I will tell you that, because I was on the phone screaming at our subcontractors to get more trucks here. But we were fighting with people with really deep pockets. Tampa, Orlando. I mean, you got to remember, it was the entire state that got whacked with these storm series. So we take it very seriously. And again, it was a great idea by Mr. Bullitt to bring this on, really updating sort of our mentality with how we're doing this, and giving the credit to our staff for developing this and putting it in play, and giving the commissioners the credit for the vote to allow us to do this. So, not to belabor the point, but I just want to make sure we take this very seriously, because I definitely don't want to go through it again. I had a full head of hair before that started.
Me too.
Yeah.
Anything else? We need to make this quick.
One last thing to share. We're going to come back to the city commission in the spring, so this can go in the code, so it'll be clearly stated within the code, so the rate will be in there. So stay tuned, that'll be there. But again, if any of you would like a presentation, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to meet with you. Thank you.
And two, one last thing, the rate's gonna be effective June 1st of this year. So the $3.63.
$3.63 on your bill, starting June 1st.
June 1st, that's correct.
Did you say you have a flyer for that? You can send us to put on the CCNA?
We're drafting it, but I'll get it for you.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, Bay Island Siesta?
One more. Yeah, this is Tommy with Bay Island Siesta and the Funny Mike. Just real quickly, is the trash also with the city coordinated with the county? Because on Bay Island Siesta, as you know, if you come off the North Bridge, that top cap, it is city, and then immediately it goes to county. So after all of the storms, there were county trucks going right by all the debris for months before it was picked up, and then going right to the southern part. So is there a coordination between the county and the city track pickup?
Yes, and as Pat has mentioned, that was one of the challenges that we came to a better understanding moving forward with. So we do have a good relationship with their solid waste division as well, so we worked out some of those kinks for future events. But I appreciate you bringing that up.
All right, thank you, Todd. Ladies, thanks. Next up, traffic calming 2.0.
Hello.
And Albie, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Corinne Arriaga. I'm the Chief Transportation Planner as of Wednesday, so good to see you all. And I'm here with Albie Marie Corrales, who's the Capital Projects Manager. You may remember us coming here in the past talking about the traffic calming plan. So we're here to give you a brief update. A lot of the information is similar to what you've heard before, so we're going to take this a little fast and then slow down for the new information that we're going to be providing you today. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Albie to begin. All right, thank you. Like Corinne said, Albie Marie Corrales. I am the new Capital Projects Manager as of 2 weeks ago. I'm going to move forward really quickly because the majority of you have seen this before, and we have presented to some of the neighborhood associations too. So just a brief cover of what traffic calming is. Traffic calming is a set of roadway treatments that can alter driver behavior to reduce the negative impacts of motorists when they are seen with cyclists or pedestrians. Traffic calming can help reduce speed, vehicle crashes, and increase pedestrian bicycle usage. Here are some examples of what traffic calming is. You have the horizontal deflections, which are your roundabouts. That's one example. Vertical deflections is your speed tables and speed humps. You have also street width reduction as part of that, and routing restrictions, so access management too. A little bit about the traffic calming program itself. It is a singular capital project bucket. So this bucket does not fund traffic control. So traffic control is stop signs, yield signs. Those are not funded through the traffic calming program. So keep that in mind. Sidewalks are a different bucket as well, so that is not part of the traffic calming. And then in terms of volume, traffic calming, sometimes when you see a lot of vehicles on your streets, you attribute that to speeding. So traffic calming is not necessarily about the volume of the roadway, it's more about the speed of those vehicles. And then efficiency. Traffic calming does not make things more efficient, because what we're trying to prioritize is safety and speed management. But vehicle throughput is it's kind of blocked off based on the traffic calming measures that we implement in the roadway. So there will be delays, just letting you know.
A little bit of the traffic calming plan overview that we are working on right now. So the vision of this plan was to work together with all of you, all of the residents of the city, to design slower streets, improve neighborhood livability, and take action where there is a speeding problem. I keep emphasizing speeding, right? Some of those outcomes, so phase 1 of the plan, we did speed limit changes, code changes. We're going through that right now. This requires 2 public hearings to make those changes. Phase 2, we are going through evaluation matrices for collector roadways and arterial roadways, which Corinne will cover in a few slides. And then phase 3 is going through and doing neighborhood plans. So each one of your neighborhoods will have their own traffic calming plan. And then doing implementation strategy, and finally a report that will be taken to City Commission. Some of that engagement that we've done, like I mentioned, we've been through, done a couple of neighborhood association meetings. We have done public meetings as well. This is our second time here at CCNA. We have done an online survey. We formed a community think tank that your CCNA president is a part of, along with a couple of other CCNA members. And we also had a leadership task force that was composed of SPD chief, city leadership as well, to kind of go through and see what we could do with this plan. We did a lot of traffic calming research all around the nation. So we worked really hard to go through this plan development, and this is some of the work that we've done so far. And then speed studies and analysis, which Corinne will cover as well. Another thing that was part of this plan is the education campaign. We rolled this out back in October. We provided you all with I Slow Down for My Neighborhood signs. I've seen them all around the city, so I know you're using it. And then we also have some static link stickers that are available. We still have a few of them if you are interested. But those I Slow Down for My Neighborhood signs, there might be a few left. You can get with Kelly if there's a few of them left.
There are 10 left.
Out of 320.
320 signs we printed out.
Do something for me if you want.
And then for the community survey, we had over 500 participants for this survey. It was for informational purposes, and it was rolled out spring of last year, so it's been a year already. So the survey covered information from demographics, perceived safety, and project prioritization that will be part of the plan. So out of those 500 people that responded to the survey, over 75% of them are in favor of some traffic calming improvements, okay? So with that, I'll hand it off to Corinne so she can go through the speed study.
Before you do, real quickly on the signs, there are, believe it or not, a handful of areas in the city that do not have organized neighborhood organizations. So I'm kind of holding on to those 10 signs in case any of them reach out and would like some. One neighborhood already has, and we've given them 10. There's a couple of other areas that I'm a little worried about that I'd like them to be able to get those last 10 signs.
And just a note on that, we have the digital file available, so if the neighborhood itself wants more signs, you're absolutely welcome to use that digital file and order signs from a printing shop in the area at your own expense. So, the traffic speed study, this is really the foundation of the plan itself. It was helping us compare the existing speed limits along the local collectors and arterial roadways. This is the time where we were really able to look at the city from a holistic perspective instead of just local streets and in one singular area. So we wanted to identify roadways where the recorded 85th percentile exceeded the posted speed limit. Who knows what the 85th percentile is? Oh, killing me, guys. So the 85th percentile is a engineering standard for setting speed limits, and what it shows is how fast are 85 out of 100 cars going. And if 85 out of 100 cars are going at or below the posted speed limit, that tells us the solution is not an engineering solution. It's an education solution or an enforcement solution that's going to help improve those 15 other cars, their behavior, because it's more behavioral than it is design focused. So that's how we are using the 85th percentile for this plan. And so we did include, so Albie mentioned all of that outreach we did, and this is another great example of the community sharing their ideas with us and staff taking and researching and seeing if it's feasible in the city. So through that outreach effort, a lot of different people shared with us that they wanted to see lower speed limits in their residential local areas. So they all felt that 25 miles per hour was just too fast. So we took that, we were getting it from a lot of different people. It wasn't just one person, it was just quite a few. So we were like, well, let's look into this. And we were actually conducting the speed study at the same time. And so we decided to include a test model just for fun. So what does that look like? If all the local roadways were 20 miles per hour, what does that show us? And so that 20 mile per hour on local roadway test model was included. So some of the takeaways from the study, we showed that a lot of our crashes are on our major roadways, higher volume. So like think US 41, US 301, Fruitville, those types of corridors. We also found that a significant number of roads experienced 85th percentiles of 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. So we saw some significant speeding on a couple of our roadways. Additionally, we found that if in the test model, when local roadways were changed to 20 miles per hour, there wasn't a lot of roadways that exceeded that. So we saw that was something that was already existing in the city as it was, so we thought that was really interesting. So we took that idea of changing the local roadways to 20 miles per hour to the City Commission in October. We shared all the research that we provided. We shared the preliminary takeaways from the speed study, and we asked them, we said, what do you think? Is this something you wanted to move forward with the city? Because it also affects how we move forward with the traffic calming plan. Because, right, we're developing solutions for all of the areas that exceed the posted speed limit, and we needed to know if the local roadways were going to stay 25 miles per hour or if they were going to get changed to 20 miles per hour, because that signified if certain areas were going to get treatments or not. And so in October, the commission moved to move forward with reducing the speed limits to 20 miles per hour. So since October, we've finalized the drafts, we finalized the study, and we're bringing the roadways that meet the 20 mile per hour speed limit to the City Commission on March 23rd for the first public hearing to change the code to reduce them to 20 miles per hour. I will say there's a lot of them. There's over 400 segments that meet that 20 miles per hour or lower 85th percentile. We do have the ordinance and the strike through of the speed limit schedule on the traffic calming plan website. So if you go to www.sarasotafl.com/traffic calming plan, no spaces. Yeah, it's also on the slides, and if you go onto this QR code right here, that you have access to all the slides here today. So it's just sarasota.gov/traffic calming plan all together. And then if you scroll down, first you'll see information about the upcoming meetings that I'm gonna share with you. And then if you scroll down, there's little blue boxes, and one says March 23rd public hearing, and if you click on that, it'll explain the background, and then the bottom will have the ordinance and then the strike through available to you, and the speed study. So I encourage you to look through that, see which roadways are gonna get changed, and of course, you are all available to go on the 23rd to share your thoughts on the matter, whether you want that to move forward, whether you don't, whether you're neutral. We do encourage you to share your thoughts with your commissioner either beforehand or at the public hearing. Just understand it is a public hearing and you'll need to be sworn in for if you're gonna give comments. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the evaluation criteria. We kind of breezed through this last time because we were working with the community think tank, which I believe is your traffic calming safety group. 2.V.V2. And so it wasn't really finalized, and I wanna, after the evaluation criteria, we're gonna get into the scoring script, but I wanna give you a little understanding of what that is. So we did something really interesting for this plan. We did not score every roadway by hand. Woo! Who's into coding? Anybody into IT coding? Cool, my people. The only experience I have is when I coded my MySpace when I was a preteen. Maybe some of you know what that is, maybe some of you don't. But, so we worked with RK&K, our consultant, to develop a Python script in our geographic information system, which allowed for them to automatically score all of the streets based off of the criteria I'm gonna show you today. So that's pretty cool. Saved us a lot of time. So you might remember the local roads. That was developed with Traffic Calming 1.0 with Norm and Carl and Mary. We developed this criteria for local roadways. And as we were kind of working through, we were also had the lens of how do we prioritize projects. So we felt that the score for all of the projects was really important. So as we moved through that, we felt that roads or streets that had traffic calming on it already should not be looked at before other corridors that had nothing available to them. So with that in mind, we added the presence of existing traffic calming, and we show that it would subtract a point or two depending on what kind of traffic calming already existed. Whether it was permanent, they would get 2 reduced, and if it was a quick build, they would get 1. And I want to let you know right now, there was no instance in which they didn't get, like, if you had traffic calming on it, you still had a score. It wasn't if they reduced the points, you were no longer eligible. It still showed that you had something. It just, in the long term, how do we prioritize projects, this is how we felt would be a good option. So for the criteria for collectors and arterials, those are those higher volume roads. We worked with the think tank and determined that they function different than local roads, so we felt like that some of the metrics or some of the thresholds should be different. And you can see here there's a lot of things like curb cuts and number of lanes, all of these things. We really were thoughtful about it, but when we got to the scoring Python script, the data that we had wouldn't support some of these metrics. So what we ended up using was we used the AADT, the annual average daily traffic, the 85th percentile, the number of crashes involving bicycles and pedestrians, the presence of sidewalk, and then the presence of traffic calming. So those were the data sets that we had that the scoring script could function properly. The other ones, it was hard because the number of curb cuts ratio, it wasn't the same kind of data. And then the other number of lanes wasn't consistent across all of our arterials and collectors, so we just didn't have the time and the staff to update that layer. Okay, the scoring script. So like I said, it was a streamlined way of scoring all of the roads in the city. As you can imagine, there's a lot of them, and we're, 2 of us at the time, plus like 1 or 2 consultants. But we looked at the various data sources and assigned those point values based off of those evaluation criteria. Whew. This is all the data that was used. As you can see, there was speeding data, the traffic calming that's present, bicycle and pedestrian crashes. We used car crashes for the local road, just regular vehicle to vehicle, but if we showed that here, you wouldn't even be able to see anything. So it's just for a matter of visual that it's not present right now, but it was used in the actual evaluation. And so you can see here how we were able to take all this data, and then we were able to evaluate the city based off of that criteria that I mentioned. So you'll see here that you can see the smaller lines, or the less bold lines, thinner, are for local roadways, and then the higher volumes have a more bold line. And so this is just for informational purposes. I'm not gonna get too into it, but I will say that when we did the solutions development, there was no automated way of doing that. So the two of us plus two other people went hand by hand and went in and evaluated every single street that scored and determined a solution based off of the matrix that was developed by Traffic Calming 1.0 group, and then also looked at the segment length, the width, driveways, what's viable in that area, what's not. And so we created a table for every neighborhood and citywide that kind of looks like this: the street, where it starts, where it ends, the length, the width, what those proposed solutions are, and a planning cost estimate associated with it. So what are the next steps? Well, this was the process for here, and we're at community meetings. So we've done our due diligence, we've done the analysis, we've put our caps on and developed those solutions, and now we need to bring it to you guys for you to share your thoughts on it. So we have worked very closely with our think tank, and we decided, because there was just so much, we need to cover so much area that going neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood wasn't feasible. So we wanted to split the city up based off of the CCNA areas, so that way we could better communicate about the meetings, and then host 3 meetings in the month of March, where people from these neighborhoods or these areas in general can come and see their neighborhood plan and what we have developed. So they're draft. We're looking for your feedback. Our thoughts are based off of data only. It's not about living there. We're looking for you to share your lived experience with us and to give us notes on that as well. So Area B is mostly coastal, and it is March 18th. It's the first one. It'll kick off. It's at the Senior Friendship Center. Area A is on March 24th, and it's at the Robert L. Taylor Complex. And then Area C is March 26th, and it says the Arlington basketball courts, but I recently found out they have outside courts. It's the gymnasium. It's the gymnasium. Yeah, we're gonna be inside for that one. So they all start at 5 o'clock and they end at 6:30. They will have a much larger presentation that'll go into way more detail than what I've provided you today, because you may have had previous presentations on this, but there are plenty of people who have absolutely no idea what's going on. So there's gonna be a pretty large presentation about every step of the way. So I know that Kelly has provided the public notice to you that has all this information, and we encourage you to share this with your neighbors in your neighborhood, even if they're not in a neighborhood and you know they live in an area that they feel very strongly about speeding, then please give them this information. We're really relying on you to be our ambassadors on this, and we encourage you to share. And so with that, happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you don't know already, I am the project manager for this, so feel free to contact me after this meeting as well.
All right. Before we take questions, can I just have a show of hands or some noise from the group in anticipation of the March 23rd City Commission meeting? Do we support 20 miles per hour on all of our local streets? Raise your hands. Hello? Anyone? Okay, that was easy. That's a big yes for all those commissioners that are paying attention to that. Okay, questions? Joanne.
Anyway, my question's not necessarily for, Joanne Godette, Glen Oaks Gardens. My question so much is not for cars, but it's speeding of e-bikes on Circus. We're having a big problem of e-bikes on Circus. I mean, they're coming down. The other day there was at least 25 in a group, 2 abreast in the middle of the road. I mean, it's becoming a problem. So I know the Legacy Trail is all part of that now, but I mean it's 17th Street and Circus.
All right, we can take note of that. I know that Kelly
Just as FYI, we met with SPD on e-bikes 3 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, because as we're wrapping up V 2.0, we're going to e-bike enforcement, e-bike safety. So we had our first meeting with them. More to come on that.
Thank you.
You have a microphone?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Steve Swallow with Leslie Park. I'm curious on a couple potential traffic calming measures that I think you mentioned. We had on 5th Street in Leslie Park, we had a cop vehicle, police vehicle parked there for 5 to 6 weeks, and it was very effective. It slowed traffic down. I would say from January 1st through about mid-February. So I'm curious if that's an option. And the second thing is, I'm glad this is neighborhood by neighborhood, and I'm wondering if a certain street was willing to employ just having on-street parking as a traffic calming device, if that would be prohibited by the city.
If there's no signage that prohibits parking, then you are allowed to park on the side of the street. However, if there is a double yellow line, you are not allowed to park on the side of the street.
Right. But you could do that.
Residents or unless there's something prohibiting them from parking on the side of the street, they are allowed to park on the side of the street, unless there's a prohibitive measure.
Hi, it's Dave Rayner, Lido here. So, I'm not sure you're familiar with the geography there, but we've got about a 1 mile stretch of road from essentially the Ritz down, the Ritz condominium development, down to Ted Sperling Park, which is South Lido Beach. And there's no intersecting road. And so the question is this, I want to make sure, well, first let me just compliment you on your study. It's quite elaborate and excellent. However, with the 85th percentile, so on a weekend, we'll have, I'm going to make a quick estimate, 600 cars that are going into that park. And out of that 600, I'd say we get about 60 or 10% that use that 1 mile stretch as a raceway. Irrespective of whatever the speed limit is, there are 2 lanes of road, one in, one out, and at times we'll have 2 vehicles side by side that drag race themselves down. So it would seem that because this might only be a 10% problem, which is a lot of cars, 60 cars, that you're not going to be looking at it because of the 85th percentile. Comment, please.
So if the 85th percentile in our data showed that there wasn't a speed differential, so there didn't show any excess speed, then it wasn't included in the evaluation. For that, so that answers that. However, we did take a series of the data we collected was over different time periods. So if we found that certain time periods show that there were higher speeds, we can provide that information to our enforcement agency, Sarasota Police Department, for them to review and start to look at how they can do some enforcement during that time period.
I can say that the hundreds of pages of documents we were provided in 2.0 to review, the area you're talking about did get flagged as excessive speeding.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Corinne, for doing this. You showed the collectors, which many of them are FDOT, roads. I didn't understand, are you able to alter the speed limits on the collectors, the FDOT roads, or is that not allowed?
So the 20 miles per hour is only for local roads. Those collectors and arterials, there is a portion of it in the ordinance setting a maximum speed of 35 miles per hour in the city. But what that means is that when certain segments of DOT or Sarasota County roads get redesigned, if it's over that 35, we're encouraging them to redesign it in a way that it would be 35 miles per hour. So understanding that's not gonna happen tomorrow. It could take 30, 40 years for that to happen, but for the FDOT speed reduction. But I will say, it has happened on 41 with the roundabouts. They've done that. They took a higher speed roadway and implemented the roundabouts and reduced the speed to 35. So right now we're looking at, there's 40 when you enter the city from north, like going southbound, and then when you get through downtown and go south by the hospital, that's when it starts to pick back up to 40 miles per hour. So not every segment is, a lot of the cities are already meeting that 35 miles per hour or less.
Thank you.
All right, oh, one question.
Hi, I'm Mike from Broadway Promenade Condominiums. Help me clarify how to communicate this to my neighbors. I'm a little confused by the fact that there is input being collected on the 24th, but then there's something happening at the 23rd in the city commission. So I'm trying to figure out the sequencing of things here.
Yes, understood. So the community meetings are specifically about the traffic calming plans, not about the speed reduction. Yeah.
And there's an email that was sent to all of you with the breakdown of the meetings in this month's meetings.
Two quick questions.
Your name and your neighborhood, please.
Excuse me, from the harbor. Did any of your studies look at noise? Noise is a major problem on John Rennie Boulevard. And I know that on John Rennie Boulevard, several of us in here are affected by traffic that's going too fast and traffic that doesn't move at all. So I don't quite know what we can do on that, but I am concerned about noise.
I understand that.
Not a noise consideration.
I
These are not the noise people.
Yeah, I understand that that's a big topic. Unfortunately, noise
Noise
was not a
people are over
consideration.
here. All right, we gotta wrap this up. Please, 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 make sure your neighborhoods know about the meetings. They show up so they can talk to their streets. They know what's happening on their street more than these ladies know what's happening on their streets every day. Make your voice heard.
And then one last thing, if you do not know where you fall on this map for area A, B, or C, please contact Corinne and she will let you know exactly which meeting to go to, because there are particular maps for those areas, so we're not gonna cart around E, B, and C to every meeting, just letting you know. So if you don't know which area you belong to, because I know there's some squiggly lines here and there, please contact Corinne.
Is it on the website?
It is.
Our website?
It is, but you know, the map is
Okay.
squiggly.
Beautiful. Ladies, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we are 15 minutes before we're supposed to finish, so I'm gonna go really fast on a couple of things. If you haven't been paying attention, the new city manager was chosen and contract negotiations are in process. It is a female named Carrie Freiling. The city's process that they used was amazing. I enjoyed every minute of it. No, she doesn't have an email address yet. She's not an employee yet. So can you let her get here and find out where her desk is before you hammer her? In the meantime, Jennifer Jorgensen is your lady. Thank you. New business, everything reports. There's something going on up in District 1 that we as a board talked about a lot at the board meeting. Oh shoot, I forgot that again. My bad. I need a motion to approve our February 7th member meeting, please. Minutes. So moved, Kevin. Second, Joanne. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Any opposed? No, okay, that's the second. Kevin Spence, Joanne. Go ahead. Okay. We had a long discussion about this, whether this should be new business or not. There's something going on North Trail that is of concern to two neighborhoods. So what we decided to do was allow one of the neighborhoods to have 4 minutes to speak today. So we are gonna kick off neighborhood reports with Bayou Oaks, and we are gonna give her some extra time. So Jody, you're up.
Hi everybody, Jody Geiger, Bayou Oaks. Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, Bayou Oaks, Indian Beach, Sapphire Shores is asking for your support in opposing the proposed 24-hour 7-Eleven with gas pumps at 3535 North Tamiami Trail, corner of Myrtle and 41 between the neighborhoods of Bayou Oaks and Indian Beach Sapphire Shores. Project would increase late-night crime, traffic hazards, and create serious environmental risk for our neighborhood and Sarasota Bay. This project requires a minor conditional use for a 24-hour operation and a major conditional use for gas pumps. Those two features turn this ordinary retail into a high-intensity, high-risk use. There is no community need to justify those risks. Within a half a mile to the north, a half a mile to the south, as well as 2 miles to the east, we currently have a 24-hour gas station convenience store. This project would simply duplicate existing services while adding new impacts to the neighborhoods. A 24-hour fueling station brings continuous traffic, noise, harsh lighting, activity, and a steady flow of strangers that will flow into our neighborhoods. Homes adjacent to the site would be exposed to light, glare, and disruptions, making it harder to sleep and enjoy their property. Increased traffic at all hours will add more congestion to an intersection that is already overburdened. Fuel trucks will be trying to maneuver through the neighborhood and roundabouts. There is a planned roundabout at Myrtle and 41. Litter, odors, and fumes, they're not going to stop at the property line. They're going to spill into the neighborhood. The environmental risks are especially serious. Gas stations are documented sources of toxic air pollutants and groundwater contamination, including benzene and other volatile organic compounds linked to cancer and respiratory disease, especially in children. Even small underground tank leaks can contaminate large amounts of groundwater. Stormwater runoff can carry spilled fuel and chemicals into the storm drains and ultimately into Sarasota Bay. This is not just a neighborhood issue, this is a bay protection issue as well. 24-hour convenience stores with gas pumps have significantly higher crime rates than similar businesses with limited hours. Most robberies and violent incidents happen between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. due to less staffing, more cash on hand, fewer witnesses, easy access, and easy escape. Crimes at these locations range from theft, drug activity, armed robbery, carjacking, and assault. Each incident brings police response, sirens, disruptions, and fear to nearby homes. All of this would occur at an intersection that already carries heavy traffic and is the subject of an active FDOT safety and traffic flow review with a roundabout understudy. A typical multi-pump gas station can generate thousands of additional vehicle trips per day, increasing crash risk and undermining efforts to improve safety at this stressed corridor. In short, this proposal adds risk of crime, pollution, and traffic while duplicating services that already exist nearby. It is not compatible with the surrounding residential neighborhoods, and it is not consistent with protecting Sarasota Bay. For these reasons, we ask you to deny the requested conditional uses and support Bayou Oaks, Indian Beach, Sapphire Shores, in keeping this high-intensity 24-hour fueling operation out of our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Kevin Spence, City Beach, Sapphire Shores. I think Jody covered it well. One additional comment is that for stormwater in along 41, all of it goes directly into the bay. It's straight piped. There's no treatment. So this is as good as building a gas station on the bay. The rain will hit, it will wash into the storm drains and into the bay, Hudson Bayou and Sarasota Bay. So at the community workshop for this, we had 45 Indian Beach, Sapphire Shores people show up. And they did a quick survey there, and 42 of the 45 do not want this gas station. It brings nothing to the neighborhood except all the items that Jody listed, and perhaps a tax revenue, but nothing other than that. You want me to go to my neighborhood report?
Yeah.
Okay. We have our spring picnic on Sunday. Please join us. It's from 1 to 4 at Sun Circle. It's a potluck, lots of good food, and it's a beautiful park. Come join us. We'll have a live band there. One additional additional thing is that I think all of the neighborhoods in the city have crime watch signs. Neighborhood where has a sign up there that says, if you see a crime, report it to this number. Well, in our neighborhood, we've discovered that, well, at first they're deteriorating and they're getting ugly and worn, but some of the numbers were not correct. So we went to the city and we asked, we came up with a design to try and make it better. And we're told, no, we need a uniform for the city, we understand that. But then we were told that we would have to pay as a neighborhood to replace these signs at $75 each. And I think that that's kind of crazy in this world of huge budgets that the neighborhoods will be impacted. I mean, what is better for supporting the police than calling it a crime? So we're bringing this forward to CCNA, hopefully as an issue that I can get some more data on, and then we can bring it forward to request that the city provide these signs for us, and that we don't have to pay for them ourselves. Thank you very much. Kevin Smith, Indian Beach Sapphire Shores.
Before we jump forward, I want to put a question out to the membership. Normally, if we're going to speak to the commission on behalf of CCNA board, we would write a letter and do that. The question for you, our members, is: are you in support of CCNA membership writing a letter to the commission to deny the 7-Eleven on North Trail? Does anyone want to make a motion for membership support to that?
So moved.
I'm sorry, who
I'll
said
make a
that?
motion to support.
Rob Grant made the motion, and he's second. I didn't see who that is. Second, Laurel Corber. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll make sure we get that letter done. Thank you. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Suzanne Waxman, Tolles Court. First of all, thank you to the speakers. Ladies, thank you so much for that as well. One of the things that we're having going on in Tolles Court is speeding on Adams and Morrell. And the signs that we did have, which we love so much, a few of them have been stolen. So somebody, for some reason, is taking them, but we maybe could get a couple more. At any rate, the only thing I really have to report is the speeding, and I think everybody has the same situation in all the neighborhoods with people just not respecting the speed limits that are there. So hopefully you guys can help us change things.
Hi, thanks. Chuck Half, St. Armand's. We had our annual banquet for St. Armand's and Friends of St. Armand's. We had a great turnout this year. 145 people attended. And this also celebrated our 100-year anniversary since John Ringling opened up his first real estate office on St. Armand's. So we had a lot to celebrate there. It was mentioned earlier from Kelly that the city hosted a visioning session. This was, getting multiple stakeholders, businesses, residents, city officials, county, and others to try to figure out what to do with St. Armand's. Some of the businesses on the circle have had to flood and fix their businesses, or they've been flooded and had to fix them 4 times over a 2-year period. So financially, it's not really sustainable to be able to make a profit and operate. So it was great to get everybody in the room. It was excellent attendance. As Kelly mentioned, it was on February 26th, and there were 3 key takeaways that I heard. First, stormwater impacts our businesses and our residents. So unless we can get our stormwater issues fixed and get the island drained properly within a, call it 24-hour or so basis, these problems will continue to recur. Second, people wanted to reestablish the charm of St. Armand's. A lot of you remember when there were higher-end stores there and so forth. Well, now we have a lot of t-shirt shops, we have a vape shop, we have this, we have that. The quality of the stores has decreased, as I've heard, over the last 20 or 30 years. And then the third point, that was very important is not to change the density. So there are some people who want to propose building higher and putting hotels or Airbnbs on the 3rd floor. This would increase density, and we know traffic is a problem. So those were the 3 takeaways that I had. Last point I'll make is we finally got our speed tables replaced. The other ones were quite a few years old and worn out. And so FDOT finally came in and put in new speed tables last week. They still have to paint them. But that's going to hopefully help some of our speeding issues, ladies. That's it for me.
I find without the paint, they really slow down.
They're nice.
Steve Swall with Gillespie Park. A couple announcements. Next Saturday we have a residential garden tour. Tickets are $20. You can get them at the Crocker Mennonite Church at 1260 12th Street. It's being hosted by the Sarasota Historical Society as well as Gillespie Park. That's next Saturday. And then on March 28th we have a cake picnic at Gillespie Park from 3 to 5 with live music. And I don't think there's any charge on that, right?
Bring a cake to share.
There you go.
Show other cake to share.
In a box, yeah.
We'll give you a box so you can try all the cakes.
And then I want to make an announcement on a personal note. My brother, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning photojournalist, has a partial screening of his most recent film this Wednesday night at Fogartyville. And it's free. A $10 donation is recommended. And the film is called Organic Rising. It's about the food system in the United States. Wednesday.
Lance Thomas, Alta Vista, no report. Sherman Baldwin Park East. I want to yield my time to Pat because Kelly said there's something about move in, move out garbage situation. It's near and dear to me, Pat.
And going out of order here, right? Thank you. So now I gotta find the email that I sent. So I can read the notes. No, I got it. Thank you. So just a couple quick updates. I'll do the vacation rental first. So, Park East, Amaryllis, there's an issue out first and end of the month when people, either evictions or move outs and some of the rentals, and people bring it out, leave it out. And we have, and admittedly, the way that the code is written, it didn't really allow for a lot of aggressive enforcement action by code compliance. And that's one of the things, we hear a lot, we call code compliance, it takes a month for them to get out there, a month for something to happen. So you guys brought this forward and we sat down with the city attorney's office, with development services, with code compliance. We've developed a process that should, if it works correctly, allow for due process, because obviously we have to give people, owners, the opportunity to clean up their own stuff. But it will be between 8 and 10 days from the time that it is reported to the time that we will then remove it from the road, not waiting for a private property. Now the private property owner could do it, right? That would be great if we let them know and a day later it's gone. But at the 8th day, we can actually start the code compliance process, which will no longer just be to tag it and report it. It will be to tag it, report it, and then we contact Todd's folks, and Todd's folks will come out and take it up, and we will then place a lien on the property for the cost. So what we've been told by the city attorney's office is the documentation process is sufficient to actually take them to a magistrate. And so we're hoping to see that as a relief, because I know you and Kelly call me all the time about people that leave stuff out there. So I think
about tenant evictions when all that stuff gets piled up.
Piles and piles. So we're hopeful that will really expedite the process and give us a definitive process that is now written down and codified to be used during that process. So thank you for that, for really Kelly and Sherman for
District 1 thanks you.
Yep, thank you. So like I said, it's a brand new process, so give it a little while. Just if there's issues, please let me know, and I'll get in with Diane and we'll work on it. So I literally got the memo yesterday morning and I sent it to Kelly. So really looking forward to that. Had some questions about the Saravella over here on 4th and 41. So I spoke with our development services folks, and there are a lot of rumors that are out there that's already approved, the cake is already baked, et cetera, et cetera. Our folks have had conversations with the management companies and asked them to remove the advertising about the short term, because this is right from Lucia. This project is still under administrative site plan review as a condo facility, condos alone. They have not formally resubmitted for hotel use. Condo hotel with 40 attainable housing units, not detailed as owner occupied, or transient at this point. So none of that has actually been formally submitted to the city for consideration, so it is not approved. So it'll have to go through that process again if it goes in that direction. So I've been hearing that it's already done. That is not the case, but they keep advertising it as such, so we keep telling them to take it down, and not everybody listens to signage, believe it or not, on all regards. That was a joke, guys, come on. I know it's getting late. All right, there was a question about, everybody's talking about vacation rentals, right? And the new process expanding it citywide. One of the things that we've encountered, and I've encountered since we started rolling this out very recently, is an unintended consequence of that registration process is we're sending code compliance in to check all of the items that are in the registration. And what we're finding is a lot of folks have bought homes that were built in either the 50s, 60s, or 70s, pre-grandfathering in with the building code, and they had non-permitted work done at the residence, which is not up to code. And so what's happening is you're basically calling the cops on yourself when you say, hey, I'm gonna have an ADU and I need somebody to come in and I want somebody to live in my converted garage. And then we go out there and find out that the entire thing was done by Dan and Pat. The plumbing is not permitted, the electrical is not permitted, the AC is not permitted, and then once we are aware of it for life and safety purposes, we have to start a code case, and sometimes people are getting hit with $10,000 to $15,000 in code compliance issues, and you have to bring it up because it has to meet the building code. So Kelly and I were talking on Friday about things that we might put on our website to make people aware. Check the really it should be the person who sells you the house should tell you. But we all know that doesn't always happen. I almost bought a house about 10 years ago, exactly the same situation. I went on the property appraiser's website, it was a 4.3, and this house on the property appraiser still had it as a 3.2, and I asked, and they were like, oh, well, my dad built that back in 82 when he moved out. And as the owner, I am legally obligated to bring it up to code because if anything happens, it's a problem. So we're looking at different ways to educate folks on what to look for before they start that vacation rental process, because once we know, we're obligated to do something relative to life and safety. So it's kind of one of those things, it's an unintended consequence, but I think we can work through that. We got some ideas from other states that we're gonna run by Development Services. So just something to let the neighbors know, before you go down that vacation rental registration process, please make sure that everything in your house is up to code. Because if you call us and it's not, we have a duty to act, so fair warning. Coastal recycling at Myrtle and 301, some questions about what they're recycling, can they do this? So they've applied for a new site plan, moving buildings around and whatnot, and a minor conditional use that has not yet been granted, and it is still under review. Again, hearing that it's already done, it is not done yet. Not changing the use, just different buildings and configuration. However, there were some questions about the type of material that is being recycled there, so we're gonna look into that to ensure that they're falling within their applicable use. So those are my updates. Did I forget anything? No, I don't think so. All right, and so we'll continue. I don't know where we left off.
Alan.
Alan, yes, sir.
This is Alan Pariser from South Twin Center Park. In the interest of time, I don't really have a report, but I would like to thank Kelly and the CCNA as well as the speaker today for very good reinforcement on two very important topics, stormwater and traffic calming, both very important in just about every neighborhood. So again, my appreciation. Just keep repeating the message and maybe we'll all learn exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Hello, Norm Demain from Glen Oaks Estates. I don't have a specific report, but there's been sheets going on around in relationship to the traffic safety in regard to traffic safety, providing us information about the contact person and two volunteers. Please do fill that out. If you're not able to fill that out, simply put the contact person and indicate will complete. And within the next 2 days, 3 days, please provide us with that information.
Jerry Fagan at Glen Oaks Villas. Nothing to report.
Joanne Gonell with Glen Oaks Garden. I'm here to report that we're having our first community event, a yard sale on March 21st from 9 to 3. Open to everyone.
Do you have a flyer?
Not yet. I mean, I just,
Email it to me.
Dennis Bishop, Lido Shores. Our Lido Shore Beach Pavilion was totally destroyed in 2024 by the hurricanes. We finally got preliminary approval by the city to rebuild it. We've had architectural drawings. We've chose a contractor. Right now it's at the state and DEP level. We hope to get approval very soon. The only thing is that we hope the city moves real quick and granting us permits so that we can rebuild it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Hi, David Rayner, Lido Key. I'm new, that's why I'm nervous and fumbling and stumbling here. So we had our Lido Key residents board meeting yesterday. Basically, for the addition of me, the board has remained the same. We had our annual breakfast meeting. We had 70 people attending, and we had Mo Marie did a wonderful presentation. At our March 14th meeting, we will be having a presentation by the Selby Gardens people. At the breakfast meeting, I think many of you may be aware, we have a scholarship fund for MOAT, and the Lido Key residents and attended voted unanimously to name that Cindy Stahl Scholarship Fund. We do have our annual beach party coming up, which is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of food, there's a lot of music. And this year, Carl will be leading a class in how to do limbo dancing. You know where to go. You can't see it. Sign me up. And we are continuing on a more serious note to work with the city and county on the issues surrounding Tenspro Park, which I think many of you are familiar with. In December, the county did pass ordinance for no wake idling zone, which we think will help with the overrunning of the jet skis and the safety issues of the park. So, thank you very much.
David Lowe with just and to embroider on what Pat was talking about with Sarasota. Hats off to Lucia, Rebecca, and the folks in development services convention, stepping up to the plate and how to handle this. This is of concern because it's kind of the first of this type. 282 units currently planned, should be the largest condo in the county. And I'll give you one example of floor plan being advertised currently is 1,700 square feet, 4 bedrooms. Wow. So that building might have well over 500 bedrooms and advertised in short term. And many of you would know where it is on this street, which are relatively narrow and intensive. There's another project coming on Mound that they are coming to the DRC. They are positioning as a condo hotel. And as a hotel, there's no density cap. So this would be originally intended to have attainable units to get a density of 4x normal. Now they're bringing it back as a condo hotel and getting the density increase with no attainable. So we're in a new area here. I don't know the answer, but I know the time to get our arms around this as much as we can while respecting property rights is critical, because these would be the first projects of this time in type in town, and we got to get it right. Thank you.
So just to follow up on that, David, I know that Steve in the back and Lucy have been having meetings about this. We have identified this as a weakness in our current code, so the staff is working on closing those loopholes and making sure we have appropriate guardrails. So more to follow on that, but thank you.
Paul Scholl from the Rosemary District. We're proud of our WSLR Fogartyville
And we had our annual fundraising event last Saturday, and terrific success. I'm sure some of you made it to that. And we fundraising success. We raised over $60,000 for the Beat Goes On Founders. The Beat Goes On Founders Fund. And and other things are happening, of course, at Libertyville, but all the time. And you mentioned over there. Thank you.
Hi, Natalie Loughlin, I'm with McLean Park. I just want to give some kudos and some good news to the city. There was a water main break last week on my street in front of my house. Woke up to water pouring in to the front of my house, coming out of the street. And we did a click to fix. I think a neighbor put a call into the city, and literally within, I don't even think half an hour, 20 minutes, about 6 trucks showed up. Within 3 hours, they repaired the break, covered it up with asphalt like nothing happened. It was impressive and incredible, and I just was kind of blown away. So thank you to the city for responding and acting and getting it done. Thank you.
Hi, Mike Bassett from Broadway Promenade Condominiums. We had a peaceful transfer of power with the board selections last month. And 2 of our board members turned out, and so we now have President Tim West. We had phenomenal attendance, and I'd like to tell you it's because we all wanted to hear about the mechanics of elevator maintenance. But it was really because we're getting ready to undertake a $500,000 refreshment of the building. And when it comes to that, everybody has an opinion on paint colors and carpet.
Hi, Laurel Porter, Central Coconut. 3 things to say. First off, once again, just thanks to the City Commission for voting to authorize our attorney to look into this lawsuit. And thank you all who showed up to help to support that. Mary spoke, several of the neighborhoods showed up to help us. We had our t-shirts on and we were pretty appealing. So anyway, thank you for that. Our spring meeting is coming up March 19th, and we're really tickled. Chief Trochet is going to be our guest speaker, and he's also bringing the command center to the meeting, so we're really excited about that. And lastly, in April, so this is a heads up to any of you who may want to consider this, our neighborhood's going to have a spring neighborhood cleanup day, and we approached Todd Petrosky to see how he could help. We thought we would go begging for help. They couldn't wait to help us. They're going to give us free dumpsters. They're going to drive around the city. They wanted to see if they could come to our meeting. We're like, bring it on. But just heads up, they are anxious. If any of you want to do neighborhood cleanups, they are anxious to help us. Thank you.
Eileen Norwell, that's in Bayou. We are having our annual meeting on May 3rd, and we were hoping to get the new city manager, but that's to be decided. But I have an issue that's not in my neighborhood, and it is, I think, an insult to the entire city in a way. I think everybody knows the minor tourist attraction called Jungle Gardens, and I know Kevin does. Can you pass those around to Pat? I have photos for Pat for you to enjoy over the weekend.
Thank you, Eileen. Are these the ones that the commissioner showed you this morning?
Some of them.
Okay. Oh, there's more, all right.
Yes.
Just for makers.
Jungle Gardens, I drove past it a couple of times last week. Jungle Gardens has almost a quarter-of-a-mile fence.
I have an answer for you on that one.
Yeah.
I was
gonna say,
in touch.
I'm sure you're on it.
We've been in touch with Allison Christie, and the city did a review. There was actually one of our citizens did a FOIA request and discovered there was a 1972 resolution that required 80% opacity on a landscape buffer in front of the fence. And Allison Christie did a due diligence and to make sure that no future or any resolutions or rezoning would impact that resolution, and she determined it did not. And it was an enforceable resolution, and therefore she forwarded it to codes compliance. So I reached out to Diane Kennedy, who had codes compliance, and said, hey, look, we know this is enforceable, but we also know that Jungle Gardens is important to the city. We want to be a good neighbor. Prior to all this, I've written the Jungle Garden guy, Chris, 2 emails and a letter, and he did not respond to any of them. Nonetheless, it's a valuable city community, and we want to talk to him about improving it. So the fence is going to be covered at some point in time, and we're working with the city to try and do it an amicable solution.
Great,
Yeah,
that's
what
really-
he said, I
Yeah. I am aware of the resolution, but as a planning board junkie, I did a public records request, and it does show that the city approved this with a double fence, which I really have a hard time understanding. So this kind of decrepit, barbed wire top cyclone fence is left. It's decades old, and then there's a new fence behind it, much higher, which practically highlights. And it looks like a prison camp as you drive by. It all it needs is a watchtower.
If I can comment again?
It just finished. It seems to me to be, it's not my neighborhood, and I know, I'm sure you're working on it, and that's great. But it's just, how in the world did this get approved without the removal? And the site plan in the public documents does show that it was known that there were 2 fences there. I really hope that you get that coverage, that would be great.
The additional comment is that the fence that's installed is a PVC fence, which will blow away in the first hurricane. So the residents along Bay Shore actually want that metal fence to be there, so when it blows away, it'll blow up against the metal fence. So we're hoping to put vines along that to obstruct it. But all the residents along there, I mean, PVC fences are, I don't know why there's a code against them. But anyway.
All right,
the
moving
residents-
on. San Remo, you're up.
Gail Mason, San Diego. It's really nothing new to report.
With Harvard, we're still waiting on.
Park Neighborhood Association. And first off, always a shout out to Nancy Kelly, who is probably one of the greatest advocates any of us in this room has when it comes to neighborhood issues. And I'd also like to thank Sachi, and I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Camilla?
Comment, but close enough.
Camilla, okay. And Nick Patel, who are helping us with the restoration of our city-owned, it's a city-owned lot that is our neighborhood park. It's central to our neighborhood, but it's not a park, it's a city-owned lot, long story. At any rate, at our own expense, we are attempting to restore it from hurricane damage. And a survey was conducted yesterday, and hopefully we'll be moving ahead with the minor encroachment agreement soon, because we've got bids out for the restoration work that are gonna expire, so we wanna get that moving, and we greatly appreciate your assistance with that. And then lastly, this is an old issue, and Saji and I have gone back and forth quite a bit. Pat, you know this, about the traffic signal at Gulfview Drive and South Orange Avenue that was taken down after the last hurricane. It was kind of interesting because one of my neighbors who stays on top of this stuff came up with an article from 1970 where the Kent City Commission ordered the installation of the traffic signal for $2,500. And that was a result of a very serious accident involving a pregnant woman at that intersection. We have no way to make a left-hand turn out of our neighborhood without a signal. There's no signal. So we are turning left against oncoming traffic. It was an on-demand signal, and it also is a public safety issue. It's not just a convenience issue for our little neighborhood. It is a public safety issue all along Orange Avenue. There's no crosswalk between Mound and Hillview. And we've talked about a signalized crosswalk and situation there. That too, it's not a zero-sum game. We need the traffic signal with the traffic crossing. So I thank you all so much. You're incredibly dedicated, and we know, and we love working with you. Thank you.
Mary Ballard at Rose Park. First of all, a big shout out to Booker High School, Lady Tornadoes. They won the Class 4 regional champions on last Friday. They defeated DeSoto High School, and then on March the 10th, they'll be going to Jacksonville. So big shout out to our class. Thank you. And just to let everybody know, the Sarasota County Fair starts March 13th. So take your family out there and have some good old county fun at the fair. There's also Cocoa Roots presents Healing Chronic Disease. They're going to be at Orange Blossom Community Garden. That's March the 24th. And today and tomorrow, they're celebrating Back to Angola. Really, really, really cool stuff. And I think that's it. Oh, also Margie's Market is coming to your town. And it's through All Faith Food Banks. They are the ribbon cutting is March the 10th. And basically, if you know All Faith Food Banks are setting up, and they're gonna basically be able to give away free food. The person will walk in and they actually have installed refrigerators and freezers. And so families can come in and actually walk through like they're actually going in a grocery store and pick out what they need for their family. But all as well as Emerald's Park Neighborhood Association. And we're looking forward to our Spring Bling, which is the Easter Parade, and that's going to be Saturday, April the 4th. And then on Sunday, April the 5th, at Robert L. Taylor, we'll be having our annual Easter egg hunt. So y'all bring the kids out and come out and have a good time with us. Thank you.
Ralph Grant, Arlington Park. We had our concert in the park tomorrow 2 weeks ago. It was a little touch and go because it rained until, noon. But we got the canopy set up. The band was sitting there waiting, ready to go. We got it all set up, and we had a lot of concert. It actually ended up being a beautiful day. Thank you, Nancy Kelly. We saw you there. Kelly Brown was there. Commissioner KKO was there. We had about 50, 60 people. We usually have about twice that. I think the rain helped the people out, but it was a really good time. So thank you for everyone. Pat, I was wondering if you could get us an update sometime about the removal of the double utility poles in the city. It was brought up at a commission meeting, and I'm just wondering if they've ever actually moved forward with any of that. So, you know, not now, just at some point.
Sure, I can tell you that we do have a list and an ongoing conversation about P&L for all these things. It is not just one neighborhood, it's everywhere in the city. What we've been advised, not to go through the entirety of the thing, but it takes about a year from the time that it's reported to the time it's removed. And, you know, based on hurricanes, et cetera, they get to it when they get to it, but we will continue to advocate. If there's ones that you want, like, hey, I need to know if this is on the list, just send it to me, we'll send it to engineering, we'll make sure it's updated and accurate.
So we should provide, if we know where they are, should we send it with us?
I'll forward it to those guys right over there.
I would also say that Alta Vista neighborhood really did a great job of getting rid of theirs, so you might want to reach out to them to see what special things they did.
Okay, sure. And then I just wanted to say thank you to Kelly, Kelly Brown, because the fact that you allowed the neighborhoods, IDSS and Body Works to bring to us an issue that they have with 7-Eleven and allow us to, you know, get behind them here at the table and support this. This is why we're here. And so it's just really nice and refreshing to see the organization working, you know, smoothly in the way it should and offering support to those of us that need it here. And, you know, we are all here for each other and we are a network that can support each other. And just thank you, Kelly, for like, stewarding us in that direction and getting us to this point, because this is what this is about, and it's very refreshing. So thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I can follow that. My name is Tommy. I'm with Bay Island Siesta. Just a few quick things. We were notified a little bit late about FDOT doing a major repair on the North Bridge going to Siesta Key. It's going to be 200 days starting on March 12th. We already know how congested that is on normal traffic. They're saying it's going to start under the bridge and work at nighttime and things like that. So if you have plans or friends that are coming in town and they want to go to Siesta, maybe send them to the South Bridge. That would help out a lot. But it starts March 12th, 200 days right through season great planning as usual.
If you could, send me your contact at FDOT, because that's an FDOT project, so we can let them know who we are, so they can put us on their notification list.
I'm going to
Be
do
able
that. We went to the county meeting at the Siesta Key County Association, which is everybody south of Shell Road, and it was a pretty poor showing from FDOT on what they were gonna do, so it's a lot. We do have somebody that I can send the contact for you,
Please.
their communication director.
We'll see what we can do to help.
A couple other quick things. We just launched our first website. We have a ton of new energy in our board, which is exciting because there's really some good things going on. Our next social is neighborhood social, April 8th. It's a Wednesday night. We're gonna try to invite as many folks from the commission and area that we can, so that we can have nice rubbing of the elbows. I know we have some commissioners coming through and new elections coming up, so we're gonna throw some invites out to that, but that's Wednesday night, April 8th. So thank you very much.
Why don't you and Nick raise your hand over here, before you leave, get with Nick, we'll make sure we forward that on to FDOT and get you the updated contact information for our people that we work with FDOT.
Okay, yeah. Been talking to Nick and Sajay about some other things too, so.
Add it to the list.
Okay, I'll be real brief since I'm brand new. We at Golden Gate Point Association, I'm heard that site. I'd like to thank Judy Maurer, who not just left GDPA board, but also moved to the sleepy neighborhood of Harlem. The residents, I think, are generally looking forward to, we've got a lot upcoming, we have 2 COs of 2 major developments on the point. The Owen and 688, who've been under construction, adding about 35 to 40% more density to Golden Gate Point for the past several years. And I think we'll probably have a little bit of an easy to construction traffic for a while before the next rounds start. So with that, I want to mention the city's been great to work with in terms of Nick and his whole crew. Lots of issues with that much development going on, and they've been diligent in helping us find solutions as we've gone through this. So thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. For anybody that wants their events to be put out on the website or in the email, Jim is taking a much needed and well-deserved vacation, so he better not check these emails. So if you have something you want posted, you can just email it to me, and it's president@sarasotaccna.org, and Ron and I will figure it out, okay? I think that's it. Our next meeting is gonna be super exciting because we're gonna have Lucia and Steve Cover present, so we can figure out who does what and who's on first, because I never know. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry I went long. Please, please, please take your chairs to the wall, stack the chairs.